Hey everyone, this is Lolcohol, and in this video I'm going to be speaking about a skill that excited a lot of us in the 3.15 teaser trailer, Explosive Concoction. Now, I have spent probably about 25 hours on this skill now, and I'm going to be giving you my thoughts on it, whether it's good, whether it's bad, what's good about it, what's bad about it, and yeah, I mean, the TLDR, is the skill bad? Kinda, but also not. Should you play it? Not really if you want to push deep into the end game and do end game content like Cirrus and Shaper and Elder and Maven. I don't think the skill is going to get to the point where it feels comfortable doing those things. But a little caveat, I might have built the build badly. There might be someone out there right now who's figured it out and has made an absolutely killer build with this skill. So don't immediately dismiss any explosive concoction builds you see out there, but what I'm about to say is my experience with it. So what are the good parts? When it does work, it feels amazing. This skill has really satisfying clear. It kind of lobs these concoctions you can see on the screen, and it blows everything up. And when stacked with the various heralds that I was using, I was actually using all three. It feels really, really good. So in terms of good, the clear, it's not insane compared to something like Spectral Shield Throw, but it's a very satisfying skill. Another thing that's good about it is that it's just a completely unique playstyle. We've never really seen anything like this before, so if you're bored of the usual swords and spells and casts on crits, well, not that anymore, but it's just something different. So if you're a really experienced skill builder, you don't mind hitting a wall, you like solving problems, maybe give it a try, but I just feel like it didn't quite get there. As for the bad, let's go over it. So the biggest thing is you cannot use a main hand weapon with this skill. Well, at least you're not supposed to. You can kind of break the system by making your main hand weapon unequipable by, for example, equipping two weapons, then making the first one unequipable by like reducing the stats that you have, your attributes. Then it makes your main hand unequipable and it treats it as if you're using your offhand. You're not supposed to be able to do that, so I think that's going to get patched out. I didn't want to rely on that. I just used that trick to level up some extra gems. So I don't like this. I get that there's some kind of thematic element where you are using your flasks to throw at monsters, but I mean, does it really ruin the immersion to say let us use a claw? Like maybe just one claw? If you can hold a shield in your one hand, why can you not instead hold a claw? So I think something that would make the skill feel a lot better would be allowing us to use one weapon and also allowing the local damage on that weapon, such as flat damage to attacks, to apply to Explosive Concoction. It might make it feel really broken if you could allow that. There might be some kind of mechanic that I'm overlooking that would just make it too strong. But with how absolutely abysmal it was feeling in terms of single target in high tier maps, it might actually still not be enough to make it a viable endgame skill. And speaking of single target, this is where the skill really fell off for me. Beyond yellow tier maps, even with the 6 link, the single target was just awful. I spent like 6 minutes in a tier 4 Conqueror, and it's just, it feels bad at that point. It's like you throw, and you see the boss's HP like move a little bit every second throw, and it just takes ages. And I did a lot of different things to scale the damage, and this is another criticism a lot of smarter people had with this skill when they looked at it. They're like, how am I going to scale this? It's not going to be easy to scale. But there's a few ways. The way I mainly did it was by stacking crit and flat damage to attacks with things like Replica Abyssus, which made me squishier. Also, Wed, like elemental damage with attack skills. And also something very important is area of effect. So something about this skill is that it can shotgun. If you're using something like Greater Volley or GMP, each explosive concoction does whatever the tooltip damage is. So if you're throwing 6 concoctions and they all hit a boss, then it's doing whatever 6 times damage that your tooltip is showing, if that makes sense. However, the AoE of this skill is actually quite small, and there's no way to kind of narrow how they land. Like, you can't throw them in a super narrow pattern so they all hit the boss. They kind of default to this spread out pattern. So the only way to get it to shotgun is to scale AoE to try and get them to overlap on that single target. So this is actually one of the examples I think GGG was talking about when they said, we want you to consider utility support gems instead of just damage support gems. So I didn't have increased AoE, or actually I had increased AoE, and I thought, why don't I rather put in something like concentrated effect, because it makes the damage number go up. And I tried it, and it made the skill feel terrible because it just completely killed that shotgunning. So it was actually like dividing my damage in 5, even though the number went up. So I think this is kind of what they were talking about when they said they wanted us to explore alternative support gems instead of just things that make DPS number go up. And another bad thing, and this is kind of the nail in the coffin for me, but it feels like this skill just pulls you in too many directions. There's a lot of ways to scale it, maybe not as many as some other skills, but nothing really feels that impactful. And what ended up happening to me was, so my clear was fine. I would get to a boss, my damage felt really bad. So I thought, okay, I'm going to just unspec some life and try to get a bit more damage. Then the damage felt all right with single target, but then I was dying all the time. So then I thought, okay, let me, take a little bit of damage away and then get a bit more life. And then it kind of felt a bit balanced for a bit. And then I felt like I'm not doing enough damage and I'm dying. And then I thought, let me remove my replica abysses because that just makes me squishier. And now it feels like I'm doing no damage. And it was just a cycle that never nothing clicked into place. It was just always this balancing act. And it was just always like either a bit too top heavy, either in terms of damage. Like the damage was never amazing, even when I fully spec'd into damage. And when I did that, then I was just constantly dying. So it just, I don't know, it didn't feel good to me. So overall, what I think of this skill, I think it's fun. I think there's a lot of potential with it if they look at it and tweak it and rework it. The clear is really good. It feels great with heralds, but overall, it kind of fails to reach that wow factor of a skill. So maybe someone out there again has figured it out and they're going to release a build guide and we're all going to be blown away and want to play Explosive Concoction, but I don't think so. I can't really picture this thing killing Cirrus or Maven without just an absurd amount of investment. But before we go, I'd like to know, have you played this skill? Have you got it far into maps? Have you maybe even killed Cirrus or Maven with it? If you have, I would love to see your POB. I have actually respec'd into, and I'm ashamed to say this, Spectral Shield Throw. my Explosive Concoction character is no more. I couldn't handle it. I played 2 builds this league that didn't work. I figured, let me just become a meta slave, play something that I know works. So that's where I'm going with it. If someone figures out Explosive Concoction, I might go back to it, but I cannot recommend this skill to you. It's fun, but it is frustrating. If you want to see some gameplay footage of me playing this skill, you can check my VODs out on Twitch. The links for that will be in the description. And I guess I'll also link my POB if you're interested in that. Well, I've just told you to not play it, so I'll link it anyway. Maybe you want to theory craft it or something. But anyway, that's going to be it for this video. Take care, everyone. Stay safe, have a wonderful day, and play Spectral Shield Throw instead. Bye.
Divine power! Divine power! It's
ranching exile. You're making me nervous.